Some days later, I spot Rin and Sai standing together in front of the gallery as I walk down the street towards the gallery where we return to the plot where we actually left off. Before I decide to go backtrack just to get that extra scene. You know, actually, let's go to the main menu. Just like, no, we're not returning to the plot just yet, it seems. Library. Because as you can see here, you got all these scenes. There are scenes missing in Act 1 because, well, there are other scenes, you know. Like Lily, Hanako, and Shizune, we've got to focus on them in Act 1, and then there's also Kenji's stuff as well. So there's still some stuff missing. Emi's route, every scene 100% there. But Rin's, no. Wait, let's have a look here. Act 2, Act 3... Yeah, we've got all the scenes up till now, so we're on track. Good. So, let's continue. They seem to be talking to each other while Sai has a smoke. Good afternoon. Oh, it's serious even though it's not really afternoon anymore. I came a bit later than usual since I got caught up doing homework. It's going to be dark soon. Hello there, Hisao, come to visit the little kitten again. Rin makes a face at the nickname. I guess she doesn't like it. Ironically, the way she wrinkles her nose like that really does make her look like a little bit like a cat. Hello. Sai turns back to goddamn cold. Turns back to Rin to continue the conversation they were having. So in other words, everything is going well. Rin makes a difficult expression and turns her face away from me for some reason. It's difficult, it's like I'm missing something, but I'll do it. Work hard and it'll be fine. No pressure or anything. I'm going to have to start working on my part of the preparations. I need to do a sales catalog, invitations, decorations, advertisement, and so on. I need the names for your works, and we also need to think up the general theme for the exhibition. Don't have anything like that. I'm not very good with words, so I don't use them. If I cannot use them, I mean, sometimes I have to, but I think this is not a time like that at all. Well, you're speaking, aren't you? You don't like naming your works? I don't like it. Well, here's an idea. How about Rin does the painting, Hisao does the naming? Teamwork, right? Honestly, I mean, if I actually did a drawing or a painting, I wouldn't really give her a name either. Usually. It's like, whenever I do an instrumental kind of thing, this is completely different and all that, but with music and all that, just an instrumental piece, I don't know what to name it most of the time. I'll just be like, improv in G major. Improv in C sharp major. Improv in D Lydian or some shit. I mean, there are ones I actually named, like that Hatsune Miku one I did a while back. Called it Cosmic Journey, because it actually was like, had a theme for it, so I was like, okay, we got a theme, so we can come up with a name, but any other case, I have no idea usually. Well, I guess it's hard to come up with a good name for something like this. Rin shakes her head. Play. Wrong station. It's not like that. It's like if I paint a cloud and call it an octopus. People will think about it differently than if I paint a cloud and call it the end of the world. Every name is wrong. Nothing ever explains what I feel like when I make a painting. It's not a word thing. I see. The only thing would be to come up with new words for everything, but would it help at all? No, I don't think so. Then the paintings would go with just unnamed number 1 and so on. It's a bit inconvenient, but that's that's no good. Unnamed means that you just didn't come up with a good name. And unnamed is a name like that Greek guy with the sheep and all. Sai thinks about this for a while, furrowing her brow as she keeps looking at Rin's serious face. So you're... God damn it. So you're saying your artwork should be completely without labels? I think that's what I'm saying. Sai lets out a dry laugh, the kind old ladies who smoke too much always seem to end up with. Let's hope you're... Wait, I wonder what kind of laugh that is. I don't know. Let's hope your art will never end up in a museum. The curators would explode. She takes a contemplative puff on her cigarette, which has worn down not much more than the butt. Then she drops it into an ashtray affixed to the wall next to the door. It was something that Rin said that... What was it? Yeah. The whole label thing. I was thinking, I've thought about that with, like, if I was an actual professional musician or anything like that, if someone was just like, okay, you're under a specific genre, I'd be like, I have no idea, man, I just play music. Just like, no, your music is like, rock music or something like that, or whatever, and I just be like, I don't know, I just play whatever suits the theme of the song. It's just like, I wouldn't think about the genre, I just play the music. I'm crap at recognizing genres, so if someone's like, you are under a specific genre here, it's like, yeah, neat, okay, but as a whole, it kind of varies, I suppose. Who knows, I could, like, write music and just be like, okay, first track of this album, you got a rock theme to it, okay. Second song's got a jazz theme, what the hell's going on here, this is different. Third one, punk rock, okay, now we're going back into the rock kind of theme. Fourth track, metal, okay, now we're spicing up a bit, and then, like, after that, it'd be kind of neoclassical, maybe, I don't know, it's like, okay, we're spicing up again, then suddenly funk, it's like, what? And then, like, I don't know, then a classical piece, I don't know, I can't really play, like, to those kind of levels, but you get the idea, that's how bizarre it'd probably be. It's like, the first song doesn't sound anything like the second song, just like, but isn't that good? No, it's not, it's supposed to fit a theme, man. It's all supposed to fit into one genre. Why? Why limit yourself? Expand on it. I don't know. Then again, it could work. What do you mean? This namelessness, this rejection of labels, it works. It's a good unifying theme, and something people can grasp onto easily. Allows for a lot of room for interpretation. It gives a good impression. Think about it, all sorts of associations can be made, starting from identity and self-definition, all the way to whatever you want to think about it. We could call your expedition Nameless and build it on that theme. How does that sound? Rin thinks about this for a while. I'm not sure how Sai managed to get so fired up by Rin's reluctance to apply names to her works. Feels like she might be extrapolating or whatever too much, but it's a pretty impressive sounding idea. I don't think it's a bad idea. For what it's worth, I have to say, it sounds pretty good to me too. So I reached into her pocket for another cigarette lighted with a neon green butane lighter. They even had the sound effect there. Her forehead wrinkles and she rubs it as she appears to furiously think more on this idea. She doesn't say a word for a while, for a little bit, same thing, but every now and then she takes a sharp drag from the cigarettes. Yes, I think this would work out pretty nicely. I'm going to take this as the starting point and work from there. I'm going in to work on this. You go back upstairs and try to find your missing ingredients. I'm sure it'll come to you sooner or later. Rin doesn't reply, so Sai takes one last long pull from her cigarette and drops it in the tray, to join with others of its contents. The gallery owner turns to head back inside, but is stopped by Rin just as she reaches for the door handle. Sai. What is it, kid? Can I have some cigarettes? She looks at Rin intriguingly, clearly not having expected such a direct request. Not that I did either. Remember when I pointed out... Well, I didn't point anything out, I just said the cigarette thing is going to have some role later on. Don't tell your teacher. Well, it is a roll, isn't it? It's kind of rolled up. I don't know. I've never smoked cigarettes in my life. She stuffs the packet in Rin's pocket along with the neon green lighter. The day is already folding into dusk when we climb up the dark stairs leading up to what is now basically Rin's atelier. I forgot the damn pronunciation on that word. As we go inside, Rin doesn't seem to be able to settle down. She keeps pacing around the room like a caged animal, looking through the skylights at the burgundy-colored dusk, wherever. The last light of the sun's advance across the sky reflects from the clouds floating over the town, filling every corner of the I forget the pronunciation. Is it atelier? Or okay, it was pronounced atelier. You got to remember it's like A at the end. So filling every corner of the atelier, A, that is A, not A, as in A. Seriously, that doesn't make any sense how it would be pronounced that way. The A is at the start, yet it's pronounced at the end as well. It's like atelier. I'll never understand why words are like spelled completely different how they're pronounced. It makes no sense. But can you imagine if they were actually spelled like they were pronounced? Language would look very different. Look confusing because you're pretty much used to the, don't pronounce it how it's spelt half the time kind of thing. That'd be confusing if it was spelt the exact way it was pronounced. But anyway, the atelier with blazing orange lights. So, pain is going well. She blinks then, relaxing her muscles. I didn't even realize how tensed up she was until now. Not really, I haven't painted in 3 days. I'm going in squares. Circles. If you say so. I tried doing things a bit differently, but it doesn't work. Now the old way doesn't work either. I need something more. It's not enough like this. Rin's response gives me pause, since as usual I can't exactly understand what she means. Although really, I shouldn't have expected anything else. Xiao says nothing at all or too much. Trying to comprehend and follow her train of thought feels like wading through jungles of Rodeo equipped with a wooden spoon and a map of Hokkaido. I'm not entirely sure where the jungles of Borneo. I don't think I've even heard of that before. I know Hokkaido is in Japan. Is this in Japan as well? Or is it a different continent, probably? It's like, oh yeah, so we've got a wooden spoon, right? We're going to, go through these jungles, and we've got a map of an entirely different place. That's all we got. No compass, nothing. Just a spoon for some reason. I don't know why. And a map of an entirely different place. So yeah, generally completely lost. But that's an odd way of saying that. It's annoying how her thoughts are both laid out in plain sight and hidden from view every time she opens her mouth. What more? You said that to Sai as well. A missing ingredient? I think I have to destroy myself. Okay, that sounds unnecessarily grim. What do you mean? Rin's shoulders slump and she turns to face me directly. I have to change. I've tried, but it's not enough yet. I have to destroy myself first, I think. Just to be clear, you're speaking metaphorically, right? Like, learning to paint from scratch again, or whatever, so to speak. She shrugs her shoulders as if there's no difference. There's no difference. So, are you going to start by smoking a cigarette for inspiration? Maybe. I've never tried this before. Have you? No, can't say I have. Still, I'm not really sure if having a smoke is the best starting point. Usually what smokers generally tend to say after time when it comes to, well, it's not really. But I remember one time someone asked if I smoked, and when I said no, they kind of reflect on it, just good, because it's an addiction, and they kind of regret taking it up, So, with that in mind, why would you choose that, Rin? She responds to my words with a nonchalant shrug. I open the cigarette pack and look inside. It's almost full. Smoking's bad for you, but that's the idea here, I guess. That's what I find weird, is nowadays, on cigarette packets, that they have, a label saying smoking kills on it. It's just yeah, but we're still selling it, though, because why not? Yes, I need to do something. I want to paint. I need something more. So, okay, fine. What's after smoking a cigarette, then? How do you intend to destroy yourself? Rin thinks for a split second, averting her gaze like she does when she doesn't want to get distracted. I don't know yet. I'll decide later. Rin bends down to pick out a cigarette from the end. She raises her head with one between her lips and turns to me, eyebrows curved into two arcs, challenging me to respond. I was thinking of like some dramatic kind of scene, you know, it's just like, I don't know, like one of those kind of like action movies, like it's like, go on, you punk, make my day, or some shit. With a sigh of resignation, I pick up the lighter and raise it to meet the cigarette. I don't know, it's just her expression on her face, just like, well, you gonna do anything about it? Well, it's not really a look of, you gonna do anything about it? It's like, I don't give a fuck kind of look. I can feel Rin's warm breath against my quivering hand. The flame flickers to life on the third strike of the flint, and I try to aim the dancing fire at the end of the cigarette. An umbilical glue spreads into the wrapping paper, and tobacco as Rin inhales the first smoke. It seems to relax her significantly. To my surprise, she doesn't cough, despite telling me that she's a first-timer. Rin seems to remember that it's hard to blow the smoke out without spitting the cigarette out as well. She quickly sits down on the floor, bringing her foot to her lips like a circus contortionist, unexpertly picks the filter between two toes. You notice I do that whenever I can't pronounce a word. Kind of just do that, just try, like that even gotta really do anything. I get down on the floor as well, and we both lie down almost simultaneously while Rin blows a steady stream of smoke towards the dim sky beyond the glass of the skylight, looking after it thoughtfully. The thin haze of steely blue smoke slithers towards the ceiling in fish-like movements. It billows in the stagnant air, the atelier. I always think it's gonna end like atelier, but it's A. Why? Twisting and turning around its own immaterial body until it dissipates in thin air. What's the word for smoke that looks like this? I mean that, same thing. There's no word for that. We should maybe come up with one. Maybe. Rin takes another quick experimental drag. It's not very tasty. It feels like an eel in the dust lying on top of a forgotten book about the memories of a dead kingdom. Do you want to try? Just like, it tastes kind of shitty, to be honest. With a very specific kind of shitty, like an old book kind of shitty kind of taste. It's just like, you want to try it? My hesitation unintentionally surfaces again, making me freeze in the face of a rather trivial and commonplace challenge. Rin's ability to take everything so coolly is something I'm a bit jealous of. Alright. Taking it from her, I have a drag on it, fighting against the sudden choking feeling in my lungs as they fill with smoke. To my embarrassment, I fail, wheezing and hacking my lungs out. I feel flustered, but maybe I haven't lost too much face in Rin's eyes. This kind of adds to when I made that joke in the previous recording where it's just like, Hisao must just like have like a hat on, he's just like smoking a cigarette, like, I just can't understand it at all. Now we can actually do that. Well, no. Clicked. Yeah. It's less unpleasant on the second try, but I still pass the cigarette back to Rin. We're like a pair of budding delinquents in middle school, sneaking their first smoke out of sight of their teachers and parents. Well, I suppose not like that's exactly what we are. After a while, the cigarette has shrunk most of the way down to the filter. Rin is still looking quietly out of the skylight. With her looking out there, the silence inside the atelier seems to deepen even more. Are the cogs of creativity turning behind those eyes right now? I'll never understand that. Well, obviously, never actually done drugs, and I prefer to keep it that way, you know. But it always seems like people are like, no, drugs to inspire creativity. You don't need that. Just, I don't know. Just use your mind. Instead of just being like, oh man, I was so like tripping balls. I wrote a song that's really great, right? It's about, what if we were all sandwiches? What? That doesn't make any sense. I know, I wrote it when it was high, man, or some shit, I don't know. Well, obviously they were, sometimes, I don't know. Do I know? I mechanically pick another cigarette, light it and place it on Rin's lips. She takes a few quick puffs and moves it awkwardly around with her lips. You know, honestly, with some of the shit that I say and the ideas I come up with, it seems like I'm freaking on drugs, honestly, but I'm not. It kind of reminds me of Eddie Izzard. He's like, in one of his jokes, just like, some people go up to me, just like, some people go up to me and just like, you on drugs? Just like, no, I'm not. Just like all this weird shit in my mind I talk about. I mechanically pick another cigarette, light it and place it on Rin's lips. She takes a few quick puffs and moves it awkwardly around with her lips. What? Fickif? What? Not understanding her garbled words, I glance over at Rin. It looks like she's having trouble with the cigarette. Honestly, I thought she was gonna say "feck off" or some shit. But no. I pick a cigarette from her lips and place it on mine, abandoning common sense and good reason why I do so. First one should have been enough for me, but I take an whole drag, still coughing a little at the unpleasant sensation of smoke invading my respiratory organs. I remember doing something like this before. So you have smoke, doesn't look like it though. Lying on my back and looking at the sky with you. Oh, that's a nice view. The sky on the other side of the glass is slowly growing darker, and then a bird takes a shit on it. It's unreachably high, even if the shimmering smoke seems to make it closer. I return the cigarette back to Rin's mouth. It feels bad somehow. Space between us, less than arm's reach, it's still there. There's a distance between us. The immeasurable wide chasm of thoughts and feelings that separates us with graver certainty than even light years of physical distance could. By saying the right words, there might be a way to make that chasm narrower, even if it's just a little. Wait. Let me just check something. I was right. I was wrong, and then right. So it's thinking, chasm, isn't it chasm? And yet again! I was right on the second one, it is chasm, that's how it's pronounced. But again, what the fuck's with the H then? It's just like typical of the English language, just like, you know what? Chasm. Sounds alright, right word, right? So let's spell it C-H-A-S-M. What? Chasm. 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 It sounds like it should begin with a K and not have a H at all, but it begins with a C and has a H after it, as quite a lot of words seem to. But it doesn't sound like it. But then again, the English language isn't the only confusing language. All languages are confusing with that. It's like, I don't think there's a language on this, well, in history really, that probably has, you know, the language written exactly like it's pronounced. So that actually, that's an interesting thought. I mean, like dead languages that have like, we haven't even got so much as an audio recording of how it's pronounced. How the hell would we know how it's pronounced? I suppose maybe they obviously explain it, but what if we come across a language that doesn't have that kind of neat, you know, convenient explanation of how it's supposed to be pronounced? Then you just kind of like, it could be pronounced this way, or it could be pronounced for all we know, you know? Could be something really bizarre. I don't know. I say that a lot. I try the, you know, I don't know bits. But you know what, I don't know. I tried to cross that gap with one big step, but Rin turned me back. I forgot where we even are in the plot here. I glanced at her out of the corner of my eye. Rin is staring upward through the smoke-filled ceiling and the skylight at the darkening sky above us. I forget the song. It was a clockwork... Clown or something like that. It's Hatsune Miku's song. It's in Hatsune Miku Project Diva F2nd. And Rin's clothes here kind of remind me of the music video for it. It's almost like she is sleeping even though I know she isn't. Her eyes open, as is her mouth. I take the cigarette from Rin before it falls on her cheek. She doesn't react to my touch in any way, so this is where we are now. I wonder if we can never be closer than this. You know what, if I do, make more random clips for Project Diva F, and I decide to make a reference to including Rin, I will probably use that module that has this kind of clues for Rin. That is, if I can even think of any idea of how I'd reference Rin. I've already got an idea for a scene I could make with Kenji, because that's easy enough to do. But all the characters, I haven't really thought about it yet. I take a drag of the cigarette and blow a thin stream of smoke upwards. These indirect kisses are the only things that connect us right now. The taste of Rin's lips on the filter mixed with the ashen taste of the smoke. Her soft lips against my fingers as I press the cigarette on her mouth as if she was placing kisses on them. The ash softly falling on the floor between us like snow. As the second cigarette is being finished off, I'm already lighting the third one. The only thing breaking the stillness of the atelier is the inaudible sound of smoke floating towards the first stars blinking overhead. You know, whenever he keeps mentioning ash, I think of volcanoes, and that deadliest thing about it is the ash. The lava isn't nearly as deadly. Well, I mean, if you're actually within if the lava hits you, yeah, that's very deadly, but it's usually the ash that has the worst effect, essentially. And then you got, like, cigarettes, just like, yeah, let's inhale all this, shall we? Well, as I said, smoking kills, isn't it? Still not a good habit to have. A light nausea hits me by the fourth or fifth cigarette. Before long, the shape of the waxing moon appears in the skylight, shedding her fanlight down on us. It'll be full moon in a few days. It'd be nice to be able to fly. I flinch after realizing it was my own voice that gave birth to the remark. The bastard child of the almost radiating smoke and tiredness. You can. Sometimes I feel like it. I can do anything. I wish I felt like that too sometimes. I wonder if she hears the bitterness seeping into my words, the vicious cycle of stumbling again, I forget the pronunciation. A moment then. Unrequited? Is that actually how it's pronounced? Unrequited? Huh. If it is, I would have never guessed. Unrequited feelings. Wait, actually that does make sense, because it's got quite in there, isn't it? Unrequited feelings is poisoning me even now. I try to push the grim thoughts aside. My efforts meet with little success as my mind keeps swirling around what ifs and if onlys. Watching the moon slowly creeping higher, I realize that a long time has passed since I came here. It sobers me somewhat, but also reminds me of the sad status quo we're in now. It's late, I'd better get going back to school. I stand up to leave, but Rin doesn't show any sign of rising up from the floor. She lies inanimate, as though all life had been sapped from her. Little wisps of smoke float about her, memories of the cigarette we shared. I grasp her by her short and fit arm and try to pull her up. To my surprise, she complies and stands up with some help from me. I notice how little Rin weighs, as if she were made of feathers. Are you gonna stay here overnight? I have to. I haven't painted much in 3 days. I have to find out how I can start painting. Maybe the smoke helps. Just take a break. That's no good. I have to do it. I can't paint anymore. I will be destroyed for real. Maybe you're just burned out. You know, like cigarettes. You've been working pretty hard. That would be bad. I wonder if this is it for me. I wanted to see how far I can go. Maybe this is it. The end. You just have artist block. It's not a big deal. So is there an artist's block as well as a writer's block? They're nice. Well, it's a block for anything, I suppose, really, isn't it? Any form of creativity is like, I can't come up with the ideas frustrating me. There's something I want to do, but I can't figure out what it is. Stop it! Writer's block, artist's block, whatever it is. Same thing, different, same thing, different subjects. That's a word for when you can't paint right. I've heard that before, never liked it though. I pick up a brush, then I want to put it down right away. And then I do, 3 days. It's like I've forgotten how to paint. I didn't think that was possible, like more impossible than Emmy growing wings and a tail. You need a break. I mean, I get that you're trying to go deeper inside yourself for your paintings, but it's really not that healthy to stay inside your own head for so long. I glance at the night sky visible through the window. A couple of stars are weakly twinkling above the city. Do you remind me of something I used to do once upon a time? I read that I don't know. The way I read it is just like, once upon a time, there was a boy named Hisao who went to this school and stuff. Well, I don't need to explain any further than that because we're reading it about it, so whatever. But let's read that correctly this time. They remind me of something I used to do once upon a time. Feels so horribly long ago. Come on, let's go outside. Where? Just for a walk. I'll show you my secret place. I don't know if it works in this town, but we can try. In any case, you need a break and probably something to eat. Come on. You need to get your thoughts away from this for a while. When they're troubled, most people escape from their unhappy lives into a world of fantasy. I did that before, and still do today, reading books endlessly, immersing myself in their world rather than my own. Rin's escape should be the other way around, though out of her inner world and into the real. Rin doesn't look happy about this, but I ignore her. At least she's somewhat cooperative, walking after me as we head down the stairs and then down the sidewalk. Night has fallen upon the town. It's a gentle summer night, smelling of flowers and hot asphalts. You know, when he's just like, and into the real world, and then it's just like, my mind just went right back to that freaking scene with Yuko. He's just like, yes, the real world, where it's just like, oh, why is real life so depressing? The sunlight is replaced by shining neon colors and bland yellow streetlights. The air is easy to breathe, as if the air pressure was noticeably lighter than usual. The feeling of daytime in the hot summer has lasted long into the evening and the night. I grab Rin by her sleeve like I've seen Emmy do, and to my surprise she obediently follows. The pale streetlights fight against the all-enveloping darkness as we walk together, the guide and the guided, although neither knows their destination. But it doesn't matter. This is the one moment when the usual silences that have become a ritual between me and Rin at last fit perfectly. We walk side by side, choosing directions on impulse or inspiration. Sometimes we find ourselves back at a street we'd already seen once or twice. Sometimes we find new streets. All of them look asleep. Rin doesn't ask where we're going, maybe she doesn't care. Maybe she knows I don't have an answer. Silence of the night isn't scary, after all. The nights drive most of it away. The lights, did I say that right? The air grows cooler as the moon progresses along its journey in the cloudless sky. Few cars roam the streets at this hour, and even fewer people are on the sidewalk. The apparent lack of nocturnal life is somehow befitting of this place. There are round-the-clock shops and cafes, sure, but the atmosphere is like the town itself is slumbering, a town that sleeps 8 hours a day. The city I grew up in, bathed in the electric glow of a million light bulbs, never slept. I have seen it for myself. It's not the first time I've done this. It happened one of the first times I was home alone. Both of my parents had business trips that neither could cancel, so they deemed me old enough to survive 2 days on my own. Their misplaced trust in me did not go to waste as I proceeded to spend the entire night out walking around the city. Even afterwards, I couldn't say what made me stay downtown longer than I intended after school. I didn't feel like going home, so I stayed through the evening and eventually through the entire night. I walked long, concentric circles around a landmark chosen at random. Bird, For some reason, the nighttime city felt fascinating, so I walked its streets. At every intersection, it was possible to choose your direction at random because they all led nowhere. The aimless wandering made me see things differently. I hope you'll do the same for Rin. We stopped to buy some hot coffee and snacks from a vending machine and then locate a bench where we sit down to eat. There's no time in the night of the town, so we spend an unknown amount of it just sitting there, observing the stillness of the usually vivid townscape. Still, it's getting very late and soon it'll be getting very early. So as I said, hearing Rin's voice surprises me. She doesn't sound bored, rather her tone is inquisitive, uncertain as to why I dragged her out here, yet curious to find out the answer. Yeah, have you ever been out all night? It's like a different world. The remark sends her thinking for a while, looking around as if she was looking for something. The wisps of light reflecting from the corners of her eyes are suddenly very sharp. It's not a different world, it's the same, just asleep. What do you think this town is dreaming of? Maybe something like car sheep or building sheep. Why are dreams always about sheep? That's a surreal image, isn't it? Sheep that are actually building, sheep that are cars, everything is sheep! My god, well. You know, here's an example of a really surreal, bizarre, vivid dream I had a while back. Like, it was the night sky, right, in this dream, but the sky was covered in all kinds of weird things. You know, like, kind of neon color kind of stuff? It was like that, like, you know, picture like the, Batman thing, you know, I forget what it's called, the thing that he was calling and they have it, like, in the sky. It was like that, only it was really colorful and it was various things and you could see planets up close. It was really surreal and bizarre. And in that dream, I remember kind of flying as well. It was really weird. So, naturally, when I woke up after that, I was very disorientated. I've never seen a sheep-related dream that I can remember. Yeah, probably because they're boring, I'd imagine. Just like, sheep, sheep, sheep. Oh, actually, here's a random... No, it was cows, not sheep. But I'll say it nonetheless. My mother had a dream once, a while ago, that she mentioned to me. It had a very surreal feel to it, where she opened the fridge and there were apparently cows in the fridge, like actual cows. They must have been miniature, I imagine, within one of the cupboards in the fridge. And she apparently in the dream was like, what the fuck? Understandably so. I mean, anyone reacting like that, but everyone else in the dream was like, what? That's totally normal. Now that is really, that just sounds really surreal and bizarre. But yeah, it would be on par with, you know, having a dream about sheep that are pretty much everything from buildings to cars. Do different towns dream of different things? Probably, how could they not? I answer half joking, half spurring her on. For the first time tonight, it seems like a bit of Rin's life has returned to her. She doesn't continue her list of rhetorical questions, though. Instead, she leans back a little and looks up at the moon traveling above the town. The cool breeze blowing between the buildings seems to steal the conversation away before it even really begins. It's too bad. It looked like Rin would get out of her blue mood. I wish I could somehow know the right things to say, but I realize I can't do that the way I am now. I'm too far apart from Rin. I haven't really managed to crack her open. She's just too complicated. It's like she's open to everything, equally disinterested in everything from the outset. In truth, she's locked tighter than anyone else I know, even myself. Sometimes she locks herself inside that inner world, shutting everything else out. At other times her thoughts flow freely from her mind, but not organized in any fashion that would make them intelligible to the rest of the world. What comes out in the form of paintings, I can't interpret. To me, it's just a sea of colors and shapes, not a message. She's too far away. I know it was a bad idea to try to reach for her in the way I did, but I can't help liking her. I look at the fingers of my right hand, trying to remember what Rin's lips felt like against them. If you ever feel like you're trying to reach out for something that's impossible to reach. Rin turns her gaze to me, tilting her head quizzically. I wonder if she understands the meaning of my own rhetorical question or not. By the way, I like how I can manage to capture her attention just by speaking aloud nowadays. All the time. At least I think so. That's what painting feels like. A lot of time, or all the time. I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling that I can't really paint what I want. Sometimes it feels like it's just another shadow of me, like a mirror that doesn't work right. Like talking? Maybe. When I was little, I didn't really have friends. Maybe it's the same now. The only things I liked were pens and paints. They were the only things that understood me. Now it feels like that has gone away too. Change really is a scary thing. I wish I could understand you. She looks at me melancholically, aroused by my thoughts materializing as words spoken aloud. Me too. Well, she meant she wished for me to understand her, or her to understand me, or her to understand herself. I never ask, nor do I find out. I see her eyes searching for mine, serious and cryptic as they are. I'm not getting any explanation from there. Don't worry about it. I will. Small hints of a smile are wavering on her lips when she's like this. It makes me feel that maybe there's hope for us. We get along so well for being so different. Just that we never really get along precisely because we're so different. Maybe it was Rin's passionate approach to her own art exhibition, or perhaps my own careless words, but last week was different from usual. Small friction between us seems to be somewhat volatile, but at least we now seem to be back to normal, relatively speaking. We stand up from the bench and pick yet another direction in which to go. The wee eye... What? It sounded like I was going a bit Irish there. The wee hours of night slowly pass by as we measure the streets of the town, one step at a time. We are finally at ease, not minding the rare lone passerby, the eerie darkness, each other ourselves. Rin's steps seem lighter, like the heavy air around her is letting go a little. It makes me feel happy. We don't talk, save for the single remarks that are spoken into the night of the town and never answered. The details jump into the eye instead of being the usual blur they are during the day. The sky above the town changes from deep dark blue to grey. I know that our night is soon ending. It's almost morning. Wait, back up here. As the sky above the town changes from deep dark blue to grey. Well, actually, I suppose it would, wouldn't it? Sky would be, like, completely black at night. Then it goes to kind of darkish blue, and then it slowly becomes kind of grayish, kind of whitish, and then, depending on the weather of the morning, it'll either stay kind of just like all dark and dreary, or it would go back to being blue again, but it'd be lighter, essentially. But whatever. It's morning stuff. Rin looks up too and nods at me. It's true, the coming light of morning is creeping through the sky, climbing higher by the minute. Did I even read Hisao's line? What was it? It's almost morning. Now continue. It feels surreal. You know what felt surreal is one time when I was out walking the dog, and it must have been a real specific date that I didn't read about or anything, but the moon looked a lot closer and more orange than I'd ever seen it. I mean, like, I haven't actually played Majora's Mask, but thinking about it now, it kind of reminds me of that. It's like, holy shit, it looks close. I didn't know what, like, the moon could even appear to look like it's that close, you know? So it did, for me, feel very surreal. I was like, what the fuck is that? The sun won't come up for a while, but I get the feeling that the end of this night really is here and now. Should we head back? Rin nods again, twice her hair waving in the breeze that seems to be heralding the coming dawn. Abruptly she takes off, taking the lead in this walkabout on which I'd brought her. It seems she really is in a better mood. This, too, makes me feel happy. Rin's navigational skills are probably not much better than mine, but we eventually find ourselves in front of Sai's place. I don't know if this was any help. I did this once before, but it was more because of a stupid impulse or maybe restlessness back then. Maybe this was a silly idea and didn't really help you at all. She just nods as an answer. So, do you know how you're going to destroy yourself now? I have some ideas. I don't want to see you for a while. Don't come and see me. Do something else. But catches me completely off guard. What the hell? What's that about? You said before that you didn't mind. Well, he's probably not saying in a kind of irritated bit yet, but more in a kind of shock, wherever. I mind now, it's just for a while. You have to do this alone. I don't like that. Why? I don't want it to go like this. Why? I just don't want to feel this distance between you and me. She tilts her head like a bird, her eyes narrowing a little as she thinks. Then you can touch me. What? You can touch me if you want. You'd feel better, right? I don't know. Try. What? Where do you want me to touch you? No boobs are left here. Other than that, you can decide. What? 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 Fine. What? I raise my hand hesitantly, even though I don't know why I'm actually doing this. Her eyes tell me that she's not going to explain. 1,000 thoughts race through my head as I slowly bring my hand close to Rin's face and press 3 fingers against her pale cheek. Like, be. I know this is a serious scene, but still. Be. Poke, poke, poke. Rin feels soft and cold. She closes her eyes on contact and visibly relaxes. I can feel her soft breathing, her muscles releasing tension as my fingertips caress her cheek. She doesn't rest her head against my palm or anything else you'd expect a girl to do in this sort of situation. In fact, she hasn't reacted at all, save for those now shut eyes. Once I withdraw my hand, she opens them again. It might be just an illusion created by the timid morning sunlight playing with my eyes, but Rin looks like she's holding back a smile. Doesn't look like she's holding it back, man. This is the problem with our relationship. Half the time I have no idea what is going on, and the other half I just fail to understand why things are going on like they are. As usual, I am not going to get an explanation. Rin merely takes a step towards the door. See you later. Then she disappears from my reach for my undefined period of time. You know, this music doesn't jingle, I suppose, doesn't really feel fitting after that, does it? It's like, oh, what a serious development. Do-do-do. Now it's more fitting, it's back to that music. It's like, I don't know what to do. Rin, she just confuses me and stuff. I hold true to my promise of honoring Rin's request, even if it's against my own will. I try to redirect my focus into my studies, but end up zoning out during classes and doing only the minimum amount of work required. Still, I start looking into my post-high school options a bit more seriously. I pore over university brochures and various career paths. I'm good at studying, so I want to go to a university. I'm pretty sure I could get into a pretty decent one too. The only problem is deciding which subject would be the best. Why not go with the science one? Kenji ridicules me about subjecting myself to the control of feminist teachers when I tell him about trying to get into a university. Well, of course, I don't ask him about what he wants to do in the future. He wants to... Actually, I have no idea. I wonder what Rin thinks of her own future. I bet she's not as lost as I am, and if she is, it's probably in some completely different way. Exactly. I feel somewhat disappointed in finding out that I can't stop thinking about her. Her request makes me worry about her, think about her, more than I did when I could go and see her when I wanted. It bothers me that I can't. Everything was all black and white for a while, but now I see clearly. As expected, I eventually crack. Late one afternoon, I get on the bus heading downtown. I try to avoid explaining to myself exactly why I'm doing this, and keep thinking about other things the entire duration of the trip. After a 5-minute walk, I'm standing in front of the gallery, and I will stop doing that voice now. I walk past it to the door of the atelier. Just at the last moment, I lose my courage and continue on all the way to the next corner, at which point I turn back. Will Rin hate me if I go and see her? I wonder what she's like when she's angry. I've never seen her angry. The worst thing would be if I actually ruined something by going to see her, like she seemed to imply would happen. There's no way that can be true, can there? It's just one of her quirks. I walk back down the street and end up passing the atelier door for the second time. When it is time to continue all the way into the gallery, its owner is standing just outside the door watching me. I thought that was you. What are you doing? I really don't want to explain the circumstances between Rin and I, so I get flustered and end up mumbling something unclear. What will you mumble that will be unclear? Find out next time. I shall see you next time, viewers. See you next time.